All right, welcome back, gang. We have a special guest here at When Magazine and PatrickMcIntosh.com. We have with us Bob Beaudine. Bob, how are you?
Hey, Patrick, great being with you.
Hey, great. And you know what? Just a little bit of a background on Bob. Those of you who maybe haven't heard of him, Sports Illustrated has named him the most influential man in sports that you don't know about. In charge of bringing forward the leadership in the sporting community that you do know about, and just has come out in the last year with The Power of Who, one of the most transformational books that I've read of late, and we want to talk with you about that, Bob, and also maybe get a few nuggets of wisdom that you've gleaned over the years from being in charge at the helm, the CEO of one of the most influential executive search firms in the world. And so I want to welcome you again, and thanks for being here.
It's a beautiful day here in Dallas, so excited to be talking to you. We got through some rain, so it looks like we're heading towards, the Texas Rangers and all the good stuff going on in sports around the country. Dallas Mavericks as well.
Yeah, excellent, and it's exciting. And speaking of which, what are some of the most exciting games you've seen so far this year?
We started out, I'm on the board of directors of the Texas Rangers, so we started out, having the very first game, getting World Series, American League pennant rings. How good is that? You can't get better. The Texas Rangers started out with a sweep, and so that's been very, very exciting. The whole concept of the Rangers, and the whole aspect of their enthusiasm they bring, the whole claw, the whole it's a long-distance high five that these players have kind of created, this kind of unity that they do has become kind of, infectious to the whole state of Texas. So it's kind of fun seeing someone. I always try to tell teams and organizations that this concept of friendship is such a big piece, but, did that and then kind of, rolled that into all of a sudden, Final Four and all.
Nice. That's exciting. And should I bother asking you, what are you looking forward for this NBA Finals? What do you think? If you have a prediction?
I think somewhere along the line, Miami Heat has kind of held back all the way through this process. So, I'm a huge Maverick fan, but I love all the NBA teams. I'm a big, I have a lot of my clients, Orlando Magic and Charlotte Bobcats and the Knicks and all these things. So I have some great friends of mine who run all these teams, and so I get extremely loyal to them. But somehow these three guys have kind of hidden in the backdrop, so maybe they got something exciting they're going to showcase for us.
Hopefully they do. And let's talk a little bit about The Power of Who. I finished it recently, and I love just rereading it. You mentioned, the second, third time you reread it, different things happen, and it's such a timely book. It reads like a book written from a career in recruiting and nuggets gleaned from the years of the executive search industry. Now, when you're thinking about all these events that have been happening over your life, do you think of one or two, or maybe something that would catapult this book into existence? It's such an awesome transformational book. I mean, does it boil down to an event that really catapulted it into where it is now?
I worked for my dad, Patrick, for 20 years. I wish you'd have known him. He was just one of the greats. He was my dad. He was my partner. He was my best friend, and so he made life always great. When I was young, my dad was out of work for 8 months. And every day he got dressed in his suit and went out to work. And then when we got dressed and went out to school, he would then circle back in and start his job search. It was one of those, he never wanted really us to get nervous. And so, it was a different generation. And then when I worked for my dad later, if someone came into our office and they didn't have an appointment, they were out of work, my dad had really planted in our hearts the vulnerability that people felt that were out of work or just didn't know where they should be, or the dream that they were focused on. There's so many people today that are just off the path, and they're seeking today to say, hey, can I really get there? Can I, in my current circumstances, get to that other side? Well, my dad had put that into us, so what we would do is we'd rush out to meet them. we'd treat them like they had an interview. And we'd get them back, get them a cup of coffee, because my dad always put this one thought in my mind, and that was this: there's something great in everyone. It's your job, Bob, to find it. That's it's an amazing thing. Patrick, you're a treasure chest of gifts and talents, and so to not focus in on that one thing, to get the thing that you are supposed to be doing in life. That's what we're all doing it. There's so many people today who are looking out in the world and saying, I'd be really great at that if I only had my chance. And that's what the Power of Who's about. You really actually have that chance.
Wow. You mentioned your dad, and this book really reads like a person, like dad's wisdom. Simple truths and timeless, powerful truths that you stick to and you will never go wrong. And you mentioned the idea of, or you really hammered home the idea of a personal board of directors for your life. And I know your dad was a major part of your life. Who are some of the people that are on your personal board of directors that you look to for guidance and mentorship?
I always believe that this is such a crucial element of success. I mean, the difference between one or two candidates between a job could be their personal board, because there's great wisdom in the counsel of many. So you get a shot at actually having this in life. Some people in mind, so when my dad, of course, was on mine, I always think that you should have one of your people to be your mom or your dad, someone you so trust who looks at your life. And, there's a promise in the Bible that says that if you would honor your mother or your father, that you would then have great, health and a long life. And so one of the ones people has to be that, and of course that was mine. And so when my dad passed away in 2000, and my mom after that, shortly after that, I had to pick someone who I knew for a long period of time in my life that was older. Kind of gave me that feeling. I have one of those people who's, a very, very successful business person here in town, and I added him into this role. Number two is you got to have your mate. So many people make the mistake of separating their lives into compartments. So they have friends, business, church, clubs, etc. Like they're all different compartments. The answer is you have one life, and your wife is crucial. You are created to be one. Your husband is created to be one with you. So what's so important here is that you wouldn't deny that person who has this great sixth sense to help you. So a mate is, and of course my wife, now I declared my wife, had to go to my wife and declare her to be my number one. And so then you have your best friend, right? My best friend has a long time, person to my life, and he has an all-access backstage pass to my life. I have a CFO buddy of mine who's the chief financial officer of Pier 1 stores who gives me advice on all financial aspects. I might use an outside firm that does some specific stuff, but before anybody actually talks about my life about finances, you want somebody else to go, hey, is that a good idea? And so that's always important. And, of course, never make your own legal advice. That's a huge error. And so I have a guy who's been a friend of mine. So these people who in here on your list, from a spiritual advisor, financial advisor, your life coach, all these people who are on your board that you have to personally ask them to be on your board. The crucial aspect in this is that they already are around you. They're already in your who. These are not people you're going to go out to who you don't know and you don't trust, and you got to make some cold call to. So you have these people, and once you add them and you ask them, your life changes for the better.
Yeah, amazing. And you know what? Speaking about like life changing for the better, and learning from advice that you get. One of the great chuckles I had, when reading your book was The Power of Who. And by the way, people just turning in right now, we're talking with Bob Beaudine, author of Power of Who, CEO of Beaudine and Eastman, one of the biggest executive search firms that is on the planet. And one of the chuckles that I was getting out of the book is you said, research has shown that grown children retain 7.9% of the advice offered by parents, but over 90% offered by non-parents. And then he said, actually, I just made that up, but it's probably, something like that. And I was thinking, no kidding, that's so true. I think about my own family and, with my parents, is there a way around this fact Or can we just say, hey, everybody, read The Power of Who? Or is there something that you can say that a parent can do for their children besides just praying for them? And knowing that you have the answer for your kids' problems, and when you tell them, they're probably not going to take your advice and they're going to learn it the hard way. Is there any other thing to do besides just praying for them?
Absolutely. Starting early. The key in this thing is I believe we can change the lives of our kids and people we mentor by just three simple things. What you read, what you listen to, and who your friends are, right? This yah-yah effect. So yah-yah is you are who you associate with. That's this an acronym that's so amazing. So early in the life, what you are filling your kids up and doing and reading books. You got to spend time reading to your kids early. And what are you reading? Well, I'm reading things that I'm trying to fill their heart with hope and encouragement and self-esteem and things that are going to say to them, hey, you're going to be good, and unconditional love. And then what they listen to, I'm not going to just let them all of a sudden break out and start to do some things early in their life that get them, moving in sideways off the path. And then, it's so important who you let your kids, be friends with early in their lives. I think the way you find that out is that I think, you need to, kind of stop and make sure that your house has some fun stuff that kids are around there so you can watch their kids play with these kids, right? And I think it's important that people say, one of the things I always tell people who have boys is that you always should give them a nickname, okay? It should be something, too. You should invest in camp gear, right? You should always, have a house that everyone likes to go. You should always teach a child, a son, that, this is, that, yes, this is your, mother, but this is also my wife, so don't treat her in any which way. I want to whack you upside the head. And then 5 is there's such a great reason today. The Jewish faith has done such a beautiful job of a tradition that what they do is and there's just, I think the statistics are ridiculous about how few kids are in prison and jails around the country, and the reason is they lay hands on their kids, just like you said, and they give them the Father's blessing before they go to bed every night. And I just think it's so important that we involve ourselves with the kids. Now, I got 3 daughters. They're now 26, 24, and 20. And I've just one of the great things is you train them up early, and they come back. And of course, girls are just amazing, loving their dads.
Yeah, when you fill their love tank up, that's amazing. And we only have a few minutes left. We want to talk to you about one of the reasons I think The Power of Who is such a powerful book is it's filled with these simple truths. That your dad typically gives you. We're around people. I think within 3 minutes I can tell by looking at a kid or a person, how involved their dad is in their life. One of the things that stuck out with me that I constantly became aware of are the tendencies for me to neglect people closest to me when I'm in need of help or guidance, like maybe it's an embarrassing issue, it could be a financial issue, it could be something, and that's what it's such counter to what we need to be doing. Either it's pride or a feeling of not wanting to impose on friends that kind of got in my way. Do you have a nugget of advice for people who tend to shy away from the people closest to them in times of need, how to get over that? I mean, besides, read The Power of Who, everybody.
Yeah.
You got to read this book. And you think of a nugget that you would have for somebody who has a tendency like that?
I think it's sometimes The Power of Who's so Dr. Seuss simple that people, any paradigm shifting, any revolutionary idea has to be so simple we missed it. And the power of forgetfulness has come on each of us in such a way that we've forgotten really who our friends are and the people who matter most. Obviously, if I told you and you were in trouble, you would whether you'd look at strangers or friends to ask for their help, you'd say friends. But the great philosopher said that, oh yeah, that's right, Mike Tyson, the boxer, he said that everyone has a plan until they're hit. So maybe the guy might be smarter than we think. And the issue is that what happens is we don't want to because of embarrassment. But here's the question. I want to ask you right off the bat. So let's say, Patrick, you and I are best friends, and I ask you for help. Would you help me?
Absolutely.
Yes, then why would you deny me the same joy of helping you? See, the issue is that it never works in reverse. That's what happens around the country is we just think to ourselves, gosh, I haven't talked to Patrick in a while, and if I went to ask him right now, he'd probably think I'm using him. But that's just not the case with real friends, not with true friends. See, there's a phenomenon that says that once someone's taken a place in your heart, they never leave. And so one of the things I tell people is look at ask for help. Don't be vague. Tell someone what you need, and then that allows your friends this great feeling of joy. The fact of what we were called to do is to help our friends, to help other people. When you do that, that actually drops endorphins in me and allows me to get joy, just unbelievable happiness. And so one of the keys is to understand that, hey, your friends were there specifically created to help you. God set that apart for these particular people. Don't go to strangers. Big mistake.
Wow. That's powerful right there. And I think it's one of those things like people know in their hearts, but they just have that kind of forgetfulness.
Yeah, it just comes in.
That struck a chord with me too.
And the busyness of life, Patrick.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Bob, Beaudine, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to talk about just these things, the power of who, and be able to share this with us.
I appreciate it. One of the things I try to do is tell people to go on powerofwho.com. I've got tons of great stuff that I'm trying to do. They can follow I tweet every day to try to do encouragement and inspiration at You Got Who, and I'm also on my Facebook that people can join and friend me and get on that fan page because I'm trying to do that each day. As you know, how important it is to get one nugget every day.
That is so great. You do bring such tremendous value. And you also have a blog. Is that on thepowerofwho.com?
It is. It's on powerwho.com, and I'm trying, again, to touch on issues that I think are just crucial today to what each of us are facing. And, of course, whether that's job tips or following your dream, you're never too young, you're never too old, you're never too late or too early to get back on the path of your dream.
Wow, fantastic. What a piece for everyone here to take with them. Bob, thanks again for doing this with us, and stay on the line afterwards so we can talk. But I want to say thanks for everyone for tuning in, and thanks again, Bob, for doing this.
Thank you. God bless everybody.
God bless you. Thank you, Bob.